Hi everybody, Jillian here. Welcome back to my channel for a brand new Bible journaling process video. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to start something new, and that is a little watercolor experimentation with you guys. I see a lot in the comments here that you guys are big fans of watercolors. Maybe some of you want some more ideas. So that's what I'm going to be doing for a little bit. Maybe not consecutively every Wednesday, but definitely for 3 or 4 Wednesdays. I want to start by saying that I am by no means a watercolor expert, and this is more just about me trying things out and having fun and playing and experimenting in my Bible so that you guys can see me work through that process. I also see a lot of comments on my channel about people who are nervous about messing up or are afraid to just start Bible journaling because they are afraid that they're going to mess up their Bible. And I totally get that. I thought maybe this could help you out a little bit with that apprehension. So maybe you watch me try something new and see me mess up and then learn not to do that without you guys having to go through that trial and error process. So today I'm actually not going to use my watercolor paints, but I will use these going forward. This is the $5 or so watercolor set from Artist Loft that you can get from Michael's, from Hobby Lobby, pretty much any craft store near you. You can also find those online on Amazon, I believe, if you don't have a local craft store by you. I'm not going to use those today. Instead, I'm going to use some distress inks from Ranger. These are from Tim Holtz, and they are dye inks, and they are specifically formulated to work with water. So when you add water to these, they move around. And I have these from my scrapbooking card making days. I rarely used them, but I have a stack of them. So I want to put them to good use. So I'm going to be using the Peacock Feathers color, the Mowed Lawn color, and also Wild Honey. I'm going to do this in real time for the first part, like actually getting the pigment on the page, so I can walk you through it and make sure that I don't miss anything, like in the frenzy of it sped up, 4 times. And then I'll go ahead and put you guys on fast forward once it's down and then finish the page off from there. Now I am in Hebrews, that's where I've been doing my daily reading. I'm actually just wrapping up, and so I'm going to be in Hebrews 9:24 to 26, which is on this page of my Bible right here, but I already have an entry here which is actually pointing me over to this page. So I'm going to just come here in the beginning of chapter 9, and then do it on this side. Now you can see there is a lot of bleed through from this stamp, and that's because I used the black Stays On ink. I no longer use that. I use the Illustrated Faith pigment ink, which I don't have an issue with bleed through. But to be honest, bleed through typically doesn't bother me anyway. So what I am going to do is prep the page, not with gesso, but I have some light buttermilk colored acrylic paint from the brand Americana, and I'm just going to swipe that over the page using an old card here just to kind of cover some of that up. The last thing I want to show you guys is how I'm actually going to get the color from these ink pads onto the page. And that is using a, at one time, really trendy and super technical term called ink smooshing. So what I'm going to do is take this plastic packaging, and this is what the homespun alphabets that we all know and love came in. And so I leave these unwrapped when I bring them home. So what I'm going to do is use this, just essentially garbage, to get ink down on my page. And I'm going to stop talking, go ahead and get started on this guy. I am going to be using my Bible mat a lot in this series to protect the pages underneath the page that I'm working on, because I'm going to be adding a lot of water onto these pages, and that's something that I just want to be mindful of. I also have a lot of paper towel nearby because I see this getting very messy. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is cut this guy up. Well, I'm going to leave him intact, and then this adhesive flap here, I'm going to keep that to the back so that the paint doesn't pool down. Okay, so I've got my 3 colors here. Alright, so basically what you're going to do is take the ink pad and put it onto the plastic like that. And I'm actually going to mix colors on the plastic. I'm going to mix the blue and the green since those kind of would look pretty if they flowed together. And then the yellow I'll probably save till the end. So that's it. I've got my ink on the page, and then you could use a ton of different ways to get water onto this piece of plastic here, because so now we have the ink on here. So what I'm going to do is take a paintbrush here, dip it in water, and then use that to move the ink around. And if you had like a little spritzer, you could just spritz this with water. And I'm just going to put a lot of water on here. So the page is going to get really wet. And you saw me use it a few minutes ago. I use a heat tool. This one is from American Crafts. I just keep this on the edge of my desk now. It's really handy for drying things, like in between, well, to speed up the drying process because I don't have all day to do this. But just kind of like help things set so you can move on to like the next step. So it's good for layering. I'll link it in the description below if you guys are interested in checking it out. Okay, so that's a good amount of water to get started. And I'm just gonna help it move around and pick up all of that ink. And remember, I'm not an expert. I saw someone else do this, and I'm just imitating it. And I saw them do it a long time ago. So that's it. And then I'm very carefully gonna flip it over and put it on my page and then smush it down. All right, here goes nothing. Alright, and that's it. That's the effect that you get. I really like the way that it looks on the acrylic paint. That really is absorbing a lot of the paint, and I might keep that in mind. So what I'm gonna do now is take a baby wipe and then just wipe this clean and then start over. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with the heat tool and help it dry a little bit, and then I'm gonna put down another layer of blue because I want a little more blue in there, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so let's look at the bleed through. I know that that is a common concern from many of you. And so this is what the bleed through looks like on the back. You can see that where I put the acrylic paint, it was mostly protected, and then where I didn't, it bled through. So I looked at this page before I started to see what colors were on here, and you can see that I chose inks that complemented the colors on this page. So I kind of kept that in mind so that when it did bleed through, it wouldn't totally clash with the entry on the back of the page. So I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to get this peacock feathers color down, and then go over it again. Okay, so now the very last thing that I'm going to do is add this wild honey color, and it's like an orangish yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to smush it down because I don't want it to take on this bluish green color. So what I'm going to do is just flick it on the page. So I have a lot of water on my brush, and this could very well splash on my white work surface, which I'm not crazy about, but let's see. Oh boy. You guys, doesn't that look so cool? You could totally do this, and it's fun. I don't want the yellow to move around too much, so I'm going to take a baby wipe and just sop some of this up. So basically, the way that the distress inks are formulated is even when they are dried, if water hits them again, it's going to reactivate the ink. So I'm trying to eliminate the yellow from mixing with the green and the blue. All right, so I just want to encourage you guys, if you don't have distress inks, you don't need to go out and buy these. You can very simply just pick up some color with a paintbrush, put it on the plastic packaging, and do the exact same thing. I picked the distress inks for this for the very first part of the watercolor series because they're just way more vibrant. So now I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and do some stamping and decorating and basically just get the meat of the entry down onto the page. So I've really been loving using paper pieces in my entries. So I'm using this yellow circle with kind of the cross cutouts. This is from the You Are Loved collection paper pieces. I'm looking on my embroidery hoop turned washi ring here for some black and white washi tape. I didn't really find what I was looking for, but then remembered that I had this black cross washi tape, which is one of the new releases from Illustrated Faith over on Dayspring. And this is really my go-to washi tape, you guys. I've been using this for so many entries. It's just the perfect neutral. Then I went through my alphabet sticker stash and just used the black homespun alphas that I had sitting on my desk from earlier in the video. And then I'm also going to be using those other ones from Simple Stories. You can see here that to help me put the stickers down, I line them up on the top of my Bible mat. That way I can kind of move them around, see where they'll fit, and then it also helps me place them down semi-straight. These tile stickers are also from October Afternoon. They're actually the backside of what comes in the package with those gray and teal alphas. I didn't have the exact letters that I needed to spell out the word sacrifice, so I just took some from both and then used the same technique of getting them down with the Bible mat. These were a little more difficult to get down because they were older, but it worked. I like to interchangeably use the two different sizes of the Illustrated Faith pens, so I draw my lines with the 0.65 and then I go ahead and do my journaling with the 0.25. It was a little difficult to write on top of the distress ink and the acrylic paint, but once I kind of cleaned off the tip of the pen, it worked out pretty well. Before I run out of time, I want to go ahead and read to you guys the verse that I am journaling here. It is Hebrews chapter 9, verses 24 to 26. And it says, "For Christ did not enter a sanctuary made with human hands, that was only a copy of the true one. He entered heaven itself, now to appear for us in God's presence. Nor did he enter heaven to offer himself again and again, the way the high priest enters the most holy place every year with the blood that is not his own. Otherwise, Christ would have had to suffer many times since the creation of the world. But he has appeared once for all at the culmination of the ages to do away with sin by the sacrifice of himself." So an Old Testament scholar I am not, but we get a pretty good idea of what the Old Testament tradition of sacrifice looked for, the high priest sacrificing, the blood of lambs and heifers and things like that on behalf of the people. And so Hebrews is now saying that Christ is the mediator of the new covenant, and we don't have to do that anymore because he was our sacrifice once and for all. He sacrificed himself. He appeared in heaven on behalf of us, and I just think that's so amazing and something that I definitely want to document in the margins of my Bible, just as a reminder to me. And it was really fun just showing you guys how I created this page, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I've got a couple close-ups here at the end for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. I love to hear from you. Be sure to tune back next Wednesday for a new Bible journaling process video. See you then!